Alright guys, I forgot to charge my microphone, so I am so sorry. I meant to do a pruning video yesterday actually, and I got sidetracked and wasn't able to do it. I apologize. I have been landscaping, so I am a filthy mess. But I did want to show you guys a little bit of pruning on one of the more difficult plants to mask your pruning cuts on, which is a fire chief arborvitae, one of my absolute favorite evergreen shrubs. Evergreen, because it does turn more of a rusty color, which is why, part of why it's called fire chief. In the winter time, for those of you that have these, don't panic, because it will turn more of an orangish tan color. Oh God, excuse me. And you can go out there literally and grab a hold of it, and I mean, you do like this, and it's not gonna crunch, it's not dead, it's just the winter color that it turns. So, and then when it gets warm again, it has this pretty lime green that fades to more of an orangish color, especially the more sun it gets, the more variance in color that you get. All right, so anytime that you're pruning on basically most conifers, especially with things that are round or globular shaped, you want to cut to a 45-degree angle branch. So like if I have this is standing up really, really tall and I want to kind of keep it lower, then I'm going to cut that top one off as long as there's close to a 45-degree angle branch. And that's just because it masks the cut a little bit better. If you happen to cut the top and you have a 90-degree angle or more branch that grows off of it, you're going to notice that cut a lot more. So same thing for on the sides if you were going to cut it. The reason being, if it's at an angle, most of the time the one underneath it will be masked by the above branch, if that makes sense. So the only thing I'm going to do on this particular one, and now I am 5'3", so I'm going to stand up and show you guys. She's probably close to 5 foot, which they max out close to 5 foot. Usually they don't get quite 5 foot. These are just really happy. And the same width. They tend to grow mostly in a circular, globular type fashion, but every now and then they will put up these little leggy branches or shoots or whatever, which really doesn't bother me at all. But if it bothers you, or if you just want to take cuttings of it, maybe for propagation, which we'll learn about in the classes, because I will cover propagation and pruning. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to take off some of that leggy growth. And if you have any questions, holler at me in the comments. So I'm going to get behind it. Alright, I'm 5'3", and as you can see, I'm sorry for all the noise. So this is kind of a leggy whimsical growth. This part is, and this part is. That's what we're going to be trimming on today in this particular video. Normally, if you wanted to prune it, you would do more around the edges, which wouldn't hurt anything. Now, I will say this, if you ever go to cut back a conifer, specifically one of these, or any kind of shrub arborvitae, you don't ever want to cut back so far that you start to see the brown. If you do that, it's not going to grow back from that point. So you need to make sure that you stay with the fresher, newer growth. If you do go to cutting off pieces like this, rather than selected branches, and I'll show you that briefly too. So anyway, let's get started. Here's our first branch that I'm going to cut to get him a little bit lower. Looking for a 45-degree adjoining branch. Got him cut off pretty good. Now what I was talking about on nipping the edges of the new growth, if you so chose to, which this one, I'll do that. But if you so chose to, you can cut, 2 or 3 inches off of just the edges, and it will grow back from that point. It's once you get to the inside growth that is too harsh of a cut. So what I'm going to do is grab a handful, and I don't like for them to have a very uniform shape. To me, it's just not my thing. But since I'm trying to show you guys how you can do this, I'm going to just cut that part off, about 2 or 3 inches. I'll do the same thing here. Keep in mind, this is the new growth, not the woody growth. All right, here's another leggy part, 45-degree angle adjoining branch. Doing this kind of quickly, guys. It definitely takes a little bit of practice on conifers. They're not quite as cut and dry as a lot of deciduous shrubs and trees. It's just not all plants can be as simple, but we'll learn that in the classes. All right, so I'm cutting little bits of tips off. I'm not going to do the entire shrub because that would be a forever long video. Oh my gosh, these need to be sharpened so bad. It's always important, and it's much better if you use super sharp pruners. So here's a really, really long one. I'm gonna go behind here and cut off probably about 12 or so inches, but that's because I don't see any brown on the inside. Come on. You do have to be quite selective when it comes to these, or if you make a boo-boo, a lot of times it takes a long time for it to recover, if it recovers in that specific area. So anyway, I think you kind of got the gist of it. It's okay to trim tips off just kind of at random. You know, if you see something that you want slightly shorter, 2-3 inches, if there is a leggier growth that you want cut back further, try not to cut back into the brown woodier growth, because you're not going to be really happy with the outcome over the next several months or year, sometimes longer depending on how harsh you cut it back. But so there's that. I see one more kind of leggy one on that other side. Like I said, this is totally not necessary, but I'm doing this for the sake of the video, really, and for cutting propagation, which is one of my favorite things to do when there's not a lot to do when it's cold weather. Anyway, see how it's got much better kind of uniform shape, but not so uniform that it looks like you're in an English garden. All right. If y'all have any questions, y'all please holler at me. Thanks.